What's the best badminton advice you've ever gotten? Hey guys, I'm Badminton Becky. I'm an American living and playing badminton in China. Please hit the subscribe button and follow along as I talk about all things badminton and try to be a top player in my city. Now, advice in badminton can be a little tricky at some time. Honestly, it's often unsolicited, unwanted, and therefore unheard. It doesn't matter if you think you have the best advice in the world. If the person that you're giving it to doesn't want to hear it, they're never going to hear it. And as a female player, guys seem to think they can give me advice, even if their skill is not better, but their strength and speed is better than me, so they think they can give me advice. And let me tell you, I have heard a lot of bad advice over the years. But of course, I've gotten a lot of good advice. But some bits of advice, like, people can tell you like 100 times and in 100 different ways, but it just takes like the right moment or the right words for you to really get it. And that was kind of like my first piece of advice that really helped me way back in the beginning. When I was a newbie, getting to the shuttle and hitting the shuttle, like returning it, was my goal. I didn't think about where the shuttle was gonna go. I would tend to just kind of give it to them very easy or like return it directly to where they were standing. And of course, my coach and everyone was giving me advice like return it in a place, that's hard for them to get it, don't make it easy for them, stuff like that. But it never really stuck until one guy, Jian Jianbing, I remember, he told me, he just said "Kong de Difang." In Chinese, that means like the free space, the open space. He just said the open space, and he just kept saying it, the open space, the open space, the open space. So in my head, I just kept hearing Kong de Difang, like open space, open space. So just kind of unconsciously, I could remember, hit it in the open space, hit it where they are not. People told me that a million times, but in the beginning, when I was a total newbie, that just wasn't something that I was doing until it was just simple and easy and stuck in my head. The open space, the open space, the open space. Hit it into the open space. The next piece of good advice that was like maybe like a year later was from my coach. Now, obviously, my coach has given me a lot of advice over the years, all of it good. And he's given me advice to help things with like how I like physically play badminton, like how I move my body, or also like the mental game. And it is funny because I'm not a sports person. I don't really like know what my body's doing. And if my coach tells me like rack it up, I'm like, my racket is up. To give me advice, he's had to figure out like how I hear it. And since I'm like a writer and like arts have always been my passion, he's kind of figured out on his own that he's got to give me a metaphor. Like a metaphor works for me in the ways that technical language of how to move your body doesn't. For instance, he does a thing called black-white, like hey bye, where if he told me like wrist up, wrist down, I might kind of just do it like halfway because I think my wrist is up, but it's not really. But when I have like a simple metaphor like black-white, I know they're opposites and I can feel my hand totally going like opposite direction. So I know hey bye is like wrists opposite. Another one he does is swimming. He has this thing where he like moves your arms. The meaning of it is your non-racket arm, you have to move it to give your whole body the kinetic chain, the energy. And also sometimes you keep your racket arm moving. Sometimes you don't stop when you hit the birdie. Sometimes you have more power if you keep it moving. So instead of saying like, keep your arm swinging or use your other arm, he just says like yo-yang, like swimming. And I know what that means. good girlfriend doesn't watch you play badminton. A good girlfriend lends you her racket so you can play badminton. Aja, he didn't expect to play badminton, but I always make him keep a pair of shoes here, and I can lend him any of my rackets, so even if he's not expecting to play badminton, he has to. But I found a lot of his mental game has really helped me a lot as well. A couple years ago during competition, or during like a little local club competition, he said, don't be scared of your opponent, they're scared of you. Like, you're a gaucho, like you're an expert, they're scared of you. While that's like not at all true, it is good for the mental game because he was kind of telling me they are nervous too. Before that, I had entered a lot of competitions, but you know, I'm relatively new in the 40s age group. People have been playing for 20 years. So they are so relaxed at competitions, I thought, and they are so not nervous at competitions. I assumed that I was the most nervous because I was the newest and I haven't done many and whatever. But ever since he said that, I haven't taken it in like, I'm the expert, they're scared of me. But I've taken it in the, they are also nervous. And I've noticed, you can notice like racket shaking, or you can notice like they got the heavy breathing before they're moving, you know, all the signs of nervousness that I show, I never really thought to look for in other people. And it turns out they are totally nervous. And them being nervous makes me feel less nervous, and I like it. So that piece of advice has really helped me in competitions. But the most recent piece of advice my coach gave me, which was really good, recently he said, can you ever be better than Sunswa? It's this girl that I know and I play with, and she's really, really, really good. And you know, me with my American arrogance, I guess, or with my overconfidence, I was like, yeah, of course I can be better than her. Like, if I train hard, I could be better than her. And he looked at me and he was like, no, you can never be better than her. She's 20 years younger than you. She's been playing like 10 times longer than you already. And like, she's in college. She's literally studying badminton. She plays 8 hours a day. He said, you could never be better than her. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he said, can you beat her? And I was like, well, like, obviously not. And he goes, no, you can beat her. You'll never be better than her, but you can beat her. You know, it took a minute to sink in, but I was like, yeah, like, you're right. Because badminton is sometimes about using your smarts, you know? Maybe she's faster and quicker than me, but if I'm a little smarter than her, this girl and I, we also play a lot of mixed doubles, so of course there's partners, and that kind of factors into it. And I also really liked it because my coach was saying, like, no matter what your limitations, and I feel like I have a lot of limitations, like my age and my health problems and all of that. My coach was kind of saying, like, no matter what your limitations, you still can win, even if you're older and slower and haven't been playing as long. It's like, he just believes that, like, if you want it and if you work towards it, like, physically you got to do the training, mentally you got to do like the confidence work and the strategy of the game. He was telling me in his own way that, like, I can get to the highest levels that I want to, even if I think I can't. So I really like that piece of advice, and that piece of advice has been like important to me at this time and this stage of my badminton journey. So what's the best piece of advice that you got that changed your game in some way? Either like your technique or your mental game. Write it in the comments below and share it with the class, because who knows, maybe someone will read it and they will also be inspired by the piece of advice that inspired you. While it's not good to offer unsolicited advice, ultimately, you know, giving advice to a friend or someone that asks for it, that can really help somebody's badminton game.